the Judge Judy Show. The witness is a 90-year-old female and she's represented by Prosecutor X. The accused is a 90-year-old male and he's represented by the prosecutor Y.
Prosecutor, please explain what happened.
On the 1st July, the accused started an argument and physically assaulted my client. My client is seeking $10,000 for medical fees and an assault charge against the accused.
Prosecutor, please present your evidence.
Your Honor, I would like to call upon my client to testify.
Please explain what happened.
Well, I was eating breakfast when my ex-partner entered the kitchen. We got into a heated argument that quickly escalated. He hit me. He also said that if he saw me hanging out with my uni mate Joe again, that he'd kill me.
Your Honor, also I submit photos of my client's bruise taken by the Atania police officer.
Your Honor, objection. The evidence is hearsay. The photos merely show that the witness was injured. There is no indicator that it was my client's doing. There is no one who have witnessed the allegations that can confirm this. For all we know, she could just have injured herself. Sustained. Prosecutor, please prove your case.
Your Honor, could I have a recess?
Yes, let's take a recess and return tomorrow morning. Prosecutor, have your evidence in order or I will dismiss this case.
Okay, let's go over the case again. We need more than just the pictures and the testimony. Did he send any text messages before or after the incident? Was there someone who could have witnessed the event?
No one was there. I do have an indoor camera though that captured the incident. The footage is stored on the cloud, so you can access it on my phone. I also have all the threatening messages he sent to me on my phone.
Nice job. Let's see the footage first. What's this? Have you got the right footage? Where's the part where he hits you?
Yeah, about that. I may have exaggerated a little bit. I was clumsy, I guess, and slipped in the shower. But frankly, this world would be a better place with that asshole in prison anyways. I deserve some extra cash for putting up with that guy. Look, here are the messages he sent to me.
My ex was controlling too. I totally understand how you feel. It must have been horrible for you.
Do you think the prosecutor should proceed the case?
Okay, here's what we'll do. You are going to delete the footage and we'll stick with the story we are running now. I don't want the defense to get their hands on that footage. We'll disclose the text messages though. That will give us an edge.
Hold on a minute. Something doesn't feel right. By proceeding the case, the prosecutor is potentially in breach of a whole heap of barrister rules. A barrister must not knowingly make a false or misleading statement and take all necessary steps to correct the misstatement. By suggesting that the incriminating footage be deleted, the prosecutor is likely in breach of barrister rules 69 and 70, which prohibits the barrister from suggesting to the witness that false and misleading evidence should be given or omitted, and must not encourage the witness to give evidence different from the evidence which the witness believes to be true. As the prosecutor was informed by the witness during the hearing that they have lied to the court, the prosecutor must refuse to take any further action in the case, unless the client authorizes the prosecutor to inform the court of the lie. Upon the client authorizing so, the prosecutor must promptly inform the court of the lie, but otherwise must not inform the court of the lie, as seen in Barrister Rules 37, 79, 87, and 88.
Your Honor, I would like to call the accused to the stand. As shown on the screen, these are the text messages the accused sent to my client. Defense, can you confirm that these messages came from your client?
Yes, the pictures were sent by my client the day before the incident.
Your Honor, it is clear from the evidence that the accused had intention and opportunity to assault my client. He is a violent criminal who deserves to go to prison for the rest of his life. Imagine if the witness was your daughter or mother, how would you feel?
Again, something else to be from. Barrister Rules 4A, 8A to C, 23, 24, and 83 all require the prosecutor to act with honesty in order to maintain the justice and integrity of the legal system. By expressing her own opinion of the accused's guilt, like, he is a violent criminal who deserves, the prosecutor has breached Barrister Rules 44, which require a barrister not to express views to a court or any issue in the case which conveys the barrister's opinion. Also, under Barrister Rule 85, during the trial, the prosecutor must not use language like, imagine if the witness was your daughter, to seek, to inflame, or to bias the court against the accused. By making bold allegations against the accused, capable of contributing to finding a guilt and without sufficient evidence, the prosecutor likely breached Barrister Rules 37, 61, 65, and 86, which states that barristers can only make allegations against the accused if it is supported and if the client wishes them to be made, after having been advised of the seriousness of the allegation and not of the possible consequences for the client if the case is not made out. Further, the prosecution's case for a conviction beyond a full and firm presentation of that case contravened Barrister Rules 84. Guys, there are just way too many problems with this scenario, so let's just stop it right here. Instead, let's bring in some ethical experts to help understand the situation a little bit better.
So Maggie, why do you think the prosecutor did what she did?
Well, prosecutors typically adopt a responsible lawyering approach. According to Whiteborn and R, they're trustees of the legal system and have overriding duty to maintain its justice and integrity. But given the way this prosecutor acted in the scenario, she might think she's a moral activist. She's experienced a similar situation before, so the prosecutor might feel like she has a moral obligation to represent this client. But what she's really doing though is using her professional license to do what she thinks is right.
I think Lubin might say that the prosecutor is more of an adversarial advocate. She's trying to advocate for the client's interests as vigorously as possible. However, she's doing it in a way that it isn't exactly within the bounds of the law.
Well, that's a good point. I also sense some ethical fading. The prosecutors too heavily focus on some other aspect of the decision that the ethical aspect of it isn't even on her mind. It might be that her moral activism makes her focus solely on the moral aspect of the decision and she forgets the ethical aspect. The language the prosecutor uses to describe her decision can mask its ethical contours. This way, she might justify her decision as morally right. She might not even realize this is an ethical issue.
An ethical blind spot, as Robinot and Sternlight would say.
Yes, exactly. She may genuinely think she's doing it for the good of a client, so much so that she doesn't even realize what she's doing might be unethical.
Well, that explains it.
Well, what do you think the prosecutor should have done instead?
So, well, if you apply Parkers and Evans' ethical decision model, the first thing that the prosecutor should have done was to recognize that there was an ethical issue. Then, the prosecutor should have taken into account the range of standards and values that could have helped her resolve the issue. Refreshing herself with the barrister's rules would have been a huge help. And if she felt like it wasn't enough, she could have consulted in a colleague or even an ethics counsel within the prosecutor's office in the matter before being so quick to make a decision. And finally, once she feels like she's got a solid solution, she should have implemented it into practice. It's basically like asking yourself, now that I know what to do and what the right thing is, how might I get it done?
So, like giving voice to values?
Yes, exactly.
How might you do that?
Like you said, the prosecutor might believe she's a moral activist. However, her actions didn't really reflect that. If she really wanted to be a moral activist, it would be morally accountable of her to convince her client to do the right thing. So as Luban would say, even if it's against the prosecutor's own experiences, the prosecutor should have persuaded her client to drop all the charges.
Well, what if the client pushes back though?
Then the prosecutor can either choose to listen to and zealously defend her client according to Barrister Rule 35, or she can exercise her independence according to Barrister Rule 42. Her enablers to do the right thing would be the professional rules around honesty and the consequences for lying under oath. But her disablers would be the pressures that come from continuing on with the lie and the potential lucrative payout that she can achieve for the client from doing it. And ultimately, this puts her on a slippery slope to further the unethical decisions.
Well, is there anything she could do to minimize her client's pushback?
Like Mary Gentile would say, the prosecutor could construct a dialogue tree to practice and predict her client's responses. She could also write any consequences of an unfair trial to remind herself of what is at stake. And these could be used as her talking points to rationalize the importance of dropping the charges.
Okay, so going off that, once the prosecutor realizes her client's lied to the court, she could respond along the lines of, "This video confirms you've been lying in court. We have to drop the case. Do you agree that your boyfriend didn't physically assault you but only was verbally abusive?"
Yes, something like that. But then at that point, her client would probably be really furious and push her to continue on with the case.
Well, then the prosecutor could explain that the risk of imprisonment for lying under oath will outweigh the potential benefits from putting an ex-partner in prison. She could also explain that as a moral activist lawyer, she's obliged to encourage the client to disclose the truth. Her client's entitled to withhold the information, of course, but if they choose to do so, the prosecutor has to refuse to take any further part in the case, as per Barrister Rule 79.
Good point. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways the prosecutor could have gone about handling the situation as well. This is just one of the many.
So, to our audience out here, do you agree with what the ethics experts had to say? Or do you think the prosecutor should have done something entirely different? I'll leave that out to you today. Look, we don't have enough time today, so we'll just cut it short. I'll see you next time on the next episode of the Judge Judy Show. Have a good night.